All right, so we've cut that off nicely, rounded over the edges, and then I've just drawn on a little mark here to cut out the notches. And when it comes to the notches, at the end of this little bent knife here, it's about 1/8 of an inch or so, and it's basically just a V cut all the way around here from one side to the other. And once I've finished the V cutting, it should be ready to glue up and tie. So we'll just do just a quick, easy V cut. And again, this V cut here is really just to hold the string in place once you've start tying it on. So there you have it, it's ready to tie up. I'll probably just glue this in just for kicks, and then we'll tie it on with some of the, it's a string, it's for fishing actually, it's a marine twine, and it's called seine twine. It has a little bit of wax in it, and it's a good one. They come in all different types of sizes and this kind of thing. This one here is a number 18, which is a really nice thickness for tying on the handles or the blade to the handle. I'm having a tough time speaking, but here, nice thickness. It's not too thick. It's not too cumbersome, and you get a nice tie on it. So we'll use this to tie on that. We'll prep up some glue, but before that we'll do that. We're going to do the same thing that we did with this one for the straight knife. So you'll see the straight knife has come in two different parts. The notch that I've cut into it excuse me, the notch that I've cut into it, and what we'll do is we'll just inlay that blade in the center of that piece there, just like we did with this knife here, this knife blade. We'll do an inlay cut, take it out with a chisel, it will lay down in there. Again, you don't want to do it flush against the wood, you want to have it a little bit out, and that way when you glue this on, and I'll use epoxy mix as well, it's going to be a thickened epoxy, so I'll put a little bit of wood flour into it, a little bit of red cedar wood flour that I collect from the bandsaw, just to thicken it up, the consistency of the epoxy, to like a mayonnaise consistency, or maybe even a chunky peanut butter, that kind of thing. And that way it will fill these gaps. You'll see the gaps on the end here, on the top and on the side, because again, this is not going to be flush, and what you want to do is have that nicely take down, and I'll put a clamp on it and let it dry like that. But again, it's a 10-minute epoxy, so it doesn't actually take too long to cure or harden, and it'll be good to go. I usually just leave them for the night anyhow. Overnight's fine. But we'll do the inlay on that, and then we'll set up the cords to tie these both, and the blades should be good to go. And then tomorrow we'll take a look at this straight blade, and there's a few other little things that we need to do just to finish it off, and we'll go over that in the morning. So we're just waiting for that other straight blade to do it. I might as well go on to a bent knife here. I put a little bit of glue just on where we've put the V-cuts, or where we're going to be doing the inlay with this blade here. I put it in. I'm just holding it in with tape because I'm gonna actually tie it right now. And when we go to tie it, you want to wrap the blade up with something. You can put a tape around it if you want. I have little pieces of cloth that I wrap my knives with anyhow, and I'll just wrap up that. And what it does really is just keeps from cutting the string, and also keeps from nicking your fingers. So when you're tying up your knife, you're gonna measure off about a foot of string or so, probably about a foot of string, and from your roll of string, keep it attached to the roll of string. But the first 10 inches or so, you're gonna measure that off. But before you do that, what you want to do is you want to put a little loop at the end of this piece of string here, and that's for pulling the string through at the end of our process, so that you have a nice hidden tied on blade. And you're just going to put just one knot in there. It doesn't need to be super duper heavy duty knot, just a little square knot. Pull on it just to make sure that you have it nice and tight, because there's a pull process where you're pulling the string through. You don't want it to come out. And then once you've done that, measure off about 10 to 12 inches. And it's important when you're tying the string on that the string goes on top of the blade. So you'll see the curve is going this way. That's the bottom of the blade where you've glued on your blade. And you start the string off at the top. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take that 10 inches or foot or so and just wrap it around the blade, because we're going to use that a bit later. And what I'll do is just put it in there just so it doesn't come out when I'm working on it. And then you're going to take that piece of string and you're going to go just past the end of that blade, and you're going to make a little loop. You can hold the loop in there with a piece of tape. You can hold it down however you wish. I usually put just a little piece of tape, then that way I don't have to do a few things at once while I'm tying. So I'll just tape it on the edge, and you'll have the loop at the end here, so they can pass that string through. And then you'll bring it to the front. So you'll hold these two pieces together, these two pieces of string together, hold it at the front, and the first couple wraps you're just going to wrap with your hand, and you go right up against there and pull it nice and tight. And that little V-cut you put at the end of the knife handle will keep the string from slipping off. So that was the purpose of that. So you do a few wraps just with your hand, and then what you're going to do is you're going to drop this thing onto the floor, and you can use it with your foot to hold it in place. And then you'll just start twisting, okay? And then you'll keep twisting this on. So you want to keep this tension in the string, okay? And that way when you pull the string through, you've kept all that tension in there so that it pulls it together nice and tight. So you don't want to put too much pressure. You don't want to use all your force to wrap around the blade. Otherwise you'll break the string when you try to pull it through. And we'll get to that part in a moment. But you'll just keep wrapping this until it's complete. So we've wound it all up. Just when we're wrapping the string, just make sure that all the string butts up against one another so there's no gaps inside of it. Over time, if there's gaps in it, it just loosens the string, and then you have to retie it. So when we get to this point where you only see a little bit of the loop at the end, what you're going to do is cut off down here, probably about a foot of string at the end there as well. And then you're going to pass that string that we just cut here, you're going to pass that through that loop. pass that string through the loop like so. Keeping it as tight as you can with one hand. And then just what you'll do is, I'm just holding it down against the desk so it doesn't come apart. And then you'll do the same little tie at the end. It's just a single knot. And you're gonna pull it through to make a loop on that side. And that's for pulling that string through. So you have a loop on that side. It's gone through the end loop that you first put down on the knife. And then you can unwrap this loop that you put here. So you have string coming out from either side, and both the sides have loops on them. And then you can slip a screwdriver end into that, and then you can pull that through. And what it's going to do, it's going to pull this loop that you have here, and then in doing so, it's going to pull that end string, that last little bit of string underneath the string, and you'll pull it all the way up almost to the end, and then you're actually going to turn around, you're going to pull it, and then you'll pull it from this side going the other way. So excuse me, I have a vise on the table, so I've just attached it to the vise, and you can see this end here. When I'm pulling it, I have to be careful with that blade being there, but as I pull it, that end screen, you can see it start moving in underneath. And what it's doing right now is actually just tightening up that end part of it. So you can see where it ended up here. So it's pulled that end string through. And then I can flip it around, and just to tighten the other side, I can do the same thing here. You just got to be really careful on this side because the blade is pointing to you, and you want your elbow is kind of close to your body to act as a brake in case that string snaps. You can also hold it on your feet on the floor with a screwdriver through that loop, or you have a vise attached to your bench. You can use the vise as well. So here again, your arms are nice and close to your side, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull that string back about halfway or so, and what it does is actually cinches down on either side of that piece of string you just wrapped around your blade. So it's tightened on this side, it's tightened on that side, and this one's good to go. What we'll do is just let the glue dry. We'll just nip these off at the ends here. Just clip them off. Clip this one off as well. And there you have it. Your knife is tied, and it's good to go and good to use. The glue will just take a bit to dry up, but that's how you tie on your knife. That's how you tie on your knife to your handle.